Hello, I have with me Manish Sabharwal, who has created one of the most extraordinary enterprises in modern India. Hi Manish. And tell me, how is your business doing?
It's doing well. It is a child of a tragedy. In a certain way, India's people's supply chain is broken. We're about 5-6 years old. We have about 80,000 employees in about 770 cities across India. What we do is really put together employees and employers together. At a fundamental level, we match people with jobs. What employment exchanges should have done, we do that in the private sector. Last few years, we've realized that unemployability is a bigger problem than unemployment, so we've started repairing our interview rejects because of the skill crisis and the education crisis. But our challenge really has not been supply and demand. It is really the labor laws and the context that we operate in, which is why I related to your book, the difficulty of being good, because if you take the strictest interpretation of the labor laws, which the left parties and many trade union leaders like to take with us, they say team leads should not exist. So the fundamental question is that...
so you are illegal?
Well, that's what the left parties and the trade unionists believe. We believe that we have a satyagraha argument. Gandhi's an unjust law is no law at all.
Correct.
So the Contract Labor Act or the Industrial Disputes Act deny people the right to work. We have hired somebody every 5 minutes for the last 5 years, night and day, weekends included. We pay 3% of the health insurance of this country, the ESI. We're among the largest payers of Provident Fund in the country, and our average salary is 3 times minimum wage. So we have essentially given 5 lakh people opportunities in the workplace, which otherwise they would not have got. Now, these labor laws were written 60 years ago, but yes, they are legislation on paper. So a lot of economist friends of mine tell me that it doesn't matter whether you're doing good. If everybody in India decided that they would violate the law because they thought they were doing good, India would be in chaos. And it's a
So how does one cope with this problem, Manish? That here you're doing enormous good for society. You've given 5 lakh people the opportunity for jobs. And all this has occurred because of the wretched labor laws in the country, where in fact it would be insane for me as an employer to hire a permanent employee. The dharma question here is that if the law is bad, are you justified in breaking the law? This is an argument that Dhirubhai also used during the license Raj, because he said that the Reliance could never even have been born if they did not break the laws in the license Raj.
The tragedy that I see on a daily basis, where 1 lakh kids call me every month and we hire 3,000-4,000 of them. We had a job mela in Jaipur and 35,000 kids showed up in one day. Since I was the only guy wearing a suit for 10 kilometers, about 1,000 of them came up to me. I can guarantee you that if 800 of those kids were born in Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, they would have had a job. They were competent, they had the right attitude, but they were born in Dausa or Barmer or Jhunjhunu or Shergarh or Jaisalmer. It's the ovarian lottery. Where you are born in India has such an overwhelming outcome on where you can get to in life. I mean, the most important decision a child in India can make is choosing your parents wisely. But it is in our power to assassinate this inequality of opportunity.
Yeah.
Why would anybody in their right mind hold back people from pulling out of poverty or children from reaching their potential? If there is some law which exists, it is our duty to go through it, go under it, go over it, or go through it.
Yeah. Well, I was saying this the other day to a few months ago to Sudha Pillai, who was the labor secretary at that time, and telling her how important it is to do labor reform.
Yes.
No society has labor laws of the kind that we have, which straitjacket the entrepreneur completely. And so, therefore, the entrepreneur is driven to a grey market. What you've done is you made that grey come out in the open.
But with 450 court cases against me.
Yeah.
See, I think India is
That's
a hostile habitat for entrepreneurship. We substitute for the state in so many ways. We generate our own power, we provide our own electricity, provide our own security, now we manufacture our own employees. While at its heart, the only sustainable way to solve poverty is job creation.
Yeah.
So if we believe that as a society there are few things we want, which is, say, poverty, to put poverty in the museum that it belongs, we have to challenge the traditional notions. And if a democracy like ours, where the left parties, or Manco Olson's, distributional coalitions, where a small vocal minority which is organized can hijack the agenda,
Yeah.
that's what's happened in India.
Correct. Well, like the school teachers.
Yes.
The school teachers are a very good example of that vocal minority which are preventing reform. And imagine in a country like ours where 1 out of 4 school teachers is absent every day, and 1 out of 4 who's present is not teaching.
So the question is, how do you get change in a democracy like India? Does it come from inside, outside? Is it incremental? Is it radical? Do you work with the existing system or create a parallel system? It's all of the above.
Yes.
But
How do you get change in a democracy?
If you wait for all the lights to be green in India, you'll never leave home. We made the call that if we made the case, if we proved that we could reach 1 lakh jobs and hire 5 lakh people and demonstrate, there are a lot of people in the government who now support what we do.
Right.
So the fact that we exist in itself is an interesting statement on the million negotiations of democracy, where the decision making may not be crisp, but there is a wisdom which recognizes that, okay, we won't shut you down.
Yeah.
The left party.
I think what you're pointing to also is, in a democracy which is economically rising, what you have today is a failure of the state institutions. And so the right answer, and the government I think is slowly realizing it, but not admitting it, is the fact that maybe the private-public partnership model, maybe what you're doing should be partnered. You're a labor exchange.
We've started that. We're running 20 employment exchanges now.
And as a labor exchange, you are adding value.
Absolutely. I mean, reforms have only fixed the sins of commission. We haven't fixed the sins of omission yet.
Yeah.
Which is what a state should provide: drinking water, education, security. So the next wave of reform is if the state can do it, that's great. If the state recognizes that it'll need some help, I think there's a lot of ingenuity and creativity in India which needs the physical, mental, intellectual and regulatory space.
Yeah. So all these 2 million schools that there are there, why not let those be owned, let the government retain ownership. That's not the issue. But let them be run. They could even be run by school teachers. They could be run by NGOs. They can be run by edupreneurs, but let them be professionally run with accountability.
We don't care about private school or public school. We want a good school.
So that will raise the dharma of our society.
Well, many states have come to us. Many corrupt labor ministers have come to us, said, we'll walk away. Just give me this much money. If sometimes it's okay, then it's okay all the time. So about 2 years ago is, I would say, the turning point in TeamLease, when we said we were done with the off-balance sheet settlement.
In this whole discussion of the Dharma of Capitalism, what I would like to know is your own personal confrontation with moral failure, with the Dharma, and how did you cope with it?
Well, fundamentally, I think the most important decision we made was, despite the advice of lawyers and some of our well-wishers, the fact that TeamLease got started when it is considered on paper in violation of the law. I think that was the first decision we made, where we said that, look, we need to demonstrate that this is unjust and unfair, and the only way, if we talk about it, it's a counterfactual argument. Now that next year or the year after that, we will be the largest private employer in this country. Hopefully at that time we can demonstrate. But our biggest failure till now is that on a daily basis we are unable to convince people that what we're doing is
So tell me of a specific, a personal
Well, many states have come to us. Many
examples?
corrupt
Have
labor
you-
ministers have come to us, said, we'll walk away